Hello YouTube, this is Tammy Pie and I'm here with another video. Hopefully, I don't know, I've tried to make this a couple times and it's kind of a mess because what happens when you say picture books, this is the hashtag picture book decks by Second Thoughts about the mission. And what inevitably happens is I start dragging books off the shelf and I go bananas because I love all these books and I love all these pictures and how do these relate to decks? So I drag a bunch of decks out and after a while it becomes just too much. So I think the best way to do this, I watched one person, was it Giselle? No, I think it was, either way. The best way to do this is just to look at the books. We'll have like a little bit of story time. You know, I'll try not to drag this out too long. It's already been a minute and a half and we're not even into it. Okay, so I have almost no, in fact, I have zero books from my actual childhood because we moved around so much. All of that was lost. However, I repurchased books that I wanted to read to my grandchildren when I was a kid. I'm almost 60, I'll be 60 in June. Bedtime stories that is how I ended every day. My father read to me, my mother read to me, anyone who babysat me read to me, and you read the story and you were dying to see the pictures. If you sat quietly in the bed resting, you got shown the pictures, right? So this is a very old book. It's written in the early, like 1911, I believe is the first published date. And it's a storybook about animals and their adventures and why certain animals have certain kind of coloring and why frogs eat bugs and it personifies the animals, but it also explains some things. Of course, we have Dr. Seuss. And here was a book I read when I was little. Dr. Seuss was the order of the day. He taught everyone stuff. Like maybe you want to try something you absolutely think you don't like because in the end, you might decide you do like it. Okay? Or the ABCs and all the cute little creatures. And I have a bunch of board books and storybooks and stuff because I have grandchildren and I want to read to them and I want them to learn the way I did. I wish I had the regular Winnie the Pooh books. I think I gave them to my niece when she had her kids. But I remember reading these with my mother, and these were the funniest stories. You know, Eeyore with his sad sack self, and Christopher Robin saving the day, and how shy poor little Piglet was, and Rabbit always figuring things out. You know, all the creatures working together. Winnie the Pooh was a great story. Now, I grew up around a lot of kind of strange people, and my best friend's dad had this book, and I will never forget Edward Gorey's Amphigory. Or what is it called? Amphigory. Yeah, Amphigory. 15 books by Edward Gorey. So mostly the one that I'll never forget is the one, right. All the little kids in the alphabet. C is for Clara, who wasted away. D is for Desmond, thrown out of a sleigh. E is for Ernest, who choked on a peach. F is for Fanny, sucked dry by a leech. So that is the epicenter of my dark humor. I pulled out the Sears Roebuck. And actually, it wasn't the Sears catalog. It was probably the Montgomery Ward's catalog. And my best friend when I was little, her mom would bring home pattern books. And we would go through the pattern books and pick out who we were going to be and what dresses we were going to own and what shoes we wanted, all the things. And I think this was kind of a common thing when kids were little to look through these catalogs and pick out the life you were hoping to have, especially if you were a poor person like I was. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go over here. Warning, there's about to be like serious nudity. So if you don't like to see titties, look away. So these, I actually have 3 of these, but my other one is, my fairy one is a bit munched up. But when you're little, these things are real. Like I said, I was a lonely child in a weird kind of group of people who had very open minds, musicians, artists, all that crazy stuff. So some of my earliest books that I looked at were Playboy. And I was looking at Playboy because they had these great cartoons, these great illustrations. And this book is very kind of sexualized mermaids. But this is the kind of stuff that I saw growing up. And it inspired me. I got these books because I wanted to draw like this. I loved the anatomy and the airbrushedness of it and the bright colors and the imagination. There's one where they're all angels. And it's beautiful art, a lot of it. Very hypersexual. But, I mean, when I was young, that kind of was happening. I mean, it's always happened. It's always been around. This was one of the things that I always looked for in the Playboys. And I swear to God, there I am, 6, 7 years old looking at Playboy. But I loved the Varga girl. And to this day, Alberto Varga is one of my very favorite artists. And a lot of his stuff, he just loved the female form. Some of his work was done for Harper's Bazaar, the early stuff. But what he is most famous for is those Varga girls in Playboy. I believe that's his wife. His wife was actually what did they call them? Follies? I think that's her too. And I just think these are masterpieces. They worked him so hard and they paid him so little. And he produced week after week, month after month, these amazing works of female art. He was also using an airbrush back in the 40s and 50s. Okay, so, and the thing is I was completely and totally interested in art. And I have like a Grey's Anatomy, or is it called Grey's Anatomy? I think so. So, you know, I also was looking at stuff like this. And I don't know if you, I guess if you have painted, if you're an artist, this was the same thing to me. An anatomy book and Alberto Vargas, same thing. And then when I got a little older, I decided I wanted to do flowers. So we've got a million flowers. And this is all in the interest of wanting to paint these things. And what you end up doing is finding them in nature, right? So here's one of my first favorite artists, Rembrandt. And this is of course, he was painting in the 1400s, 1600s. And his use of light. Okay. My other favorite, Monet. Well, all of them, really. Monet, Manet. Oh, God, look at that. It's hard to see because my light is so terrible. But the Impressionists, this, I believe, is Monet talking with some other Impressionist artists. Just this whole, there's me tracing this fabulous, there's Monet. Wonderful. Renoir. Sicily. Yeah, okay. Also very early influence to my artistic enjoyment is rock and roll photography. This is a great book. This is Alice Cooper. And none of these pictures are labeled, so it's like a whole thing where you get to guess. That is Eddie. Oh, God, who are all these people? Eddie, what the heck was his name? Just stunning photography. Yeah, okay. And very early on, I was introduced to mythology. My parents were way overeducated for the life that they actually lived. And this is a great myth book. Trickster gods, Wile E. Coyote, Brer Rabbit. Where's the good pictures? This is a really informative book. There's Athena. Okay, and here's the Celtic mythology book. I was very early on, because I lived in New Mexico where a great number of the population are Catholic, and my mother had left the church. I was totally fascinated by Catholicism. This is a picture book about saints, the many different Catholic saints. Let's see if I can find somebody super recognizable. And again, you know, the Catholic religion is old, and as, you know, it's been everywhere. It has produced some just incredible artwork, illuminated books, which I was also really interested in. In fact, when I was doing homeschooling my youngest child, I had a whole calligraphy class. Yeah. And then, of course, the Madonna. This book is actually amazing, but I am losing my arm strength here. Yeah. Incredible books. Let's see, 18 minutes of books. Okay, people, we can do this. This is also a really interesting book that I gave my husband when we were first married. Arthur Rackham. Because he said, I know everything there is to know about babies. And there's some stuff in here that I bet nobody knew. But this is a great art book. And then, of course, I'm just going to go for it because we've spent a lot of time already. I was a spooky kid. I have always heard the ghosts, seen lights where there shouldn't be lights and shadows where there shouldn't be shadows. This is a book about old haunted Acadian houses. Don't you love a road that's covered with trees? I do. Yeah. And of course, these books are super unwieldy and my fucking arms are killing me. But this old stuff, which came from my husband's household. But this is very early American propaganda, really. Showing all the greatness of America by Courier and Ives. It's a cool book. Very interesting paintings. And of course, this is my pride and joy. This came from my grandfather. I don't even know if I can hold this up. Okay. We'll give it a shot. This is the Audubon plates. And yesterday, I actually saw red-tailed hawks. Oh, here we go. Turkey vulture. This is a big a big one here in America, in the desert. Birds of prey. Red-tailed hawks. Yeah. Okay. So that's enough about books. I need to pause for a second. All right, then, let's look at some decks and see if we can relate them to what I've just shown you. Okay, so let's start with Mother Westwind. And the obvious choice for Mother Westwind is Oak, Ash, and Thorn by Stephanie Burrows and Adam Oehlers. And these are, I think one of the strengths of this deck is that the animals are still very animal-y. They're still set in the wild places where they would live. But the artwork is tuned to, there's my dragon, yes, is tuned to the tarot. And this is how I felt about these animals as a young child. They were very relatable creatures. Yeah. So, very much a picture book deck. Let's look at, and this has been discussed before, Shadowlands Tarot by Bodirski. Is that sense of humor, that pen and ink line work that we had in really a lot of childhood stuff, but Edward Gorey does come to mind, especially when you see like her little creatures. Very dark humor, right? Shadowlands Tarot. Love her. Love her work. And then we have, I don't know if this relates to any of the books, but this definitely relates to my childhood and the dolls. Dolls have always been a little spooky to me, a little scary. My very best friend had Madame Alexander dolls. And I was pretty sure they were watching me. Okay. This is the Notorious JBG pocket deck by Julie at Peekaboorose. Here we have the Rackham, the original Arthur Rackham Oracle by Doug Thornsbo. But these are Arthur Rackham illustrations of fairy tales. And myths. And Shakespearean stories. Oh, this artwork is so beautiful. Oops. Okay, doesn't want me to show it anymore. Here we have Joanna Nelson's Monstarot. Oh, that's the... And this is very Dr. Seuss. Very children's book, very relatable, very much a teaching thing, and soft colors, and even the hard cards are offering support. But they're little monsters in a little made-up world that are very comforting and, like I said, relatable to a little kid. Someone else showed a couple of these Baba decks. I'm just going to go through the whole Baba thing. Here's Alice in Wonderland. And these do match with I had the book read to me when I was young. And I think these cards match exactly, the story. This is just how I saw it. I like this kind of sort of real, beware the Jabberwock, my son, with claws that catch and jaws that snatch. Right? Off with our head. And here is our old Baba Studios Fantastic Menagerie. I remember being a little kid and our house had mice. It was a very old stone house. It had mice. And I would try and talk to the mice and be friends with them. You know, when I was little, animals were people too. Meow. And because I have it out, let's go ahead and show you the Victorian Flower Oracle, which is the companion deck for this. Yeah. Okay. Does she have to put the thing back in the tuck box? Yes, she does. All right. Let's look at some more kind of dark and artsy. Should we do dark and artsy? Yes, let's do. I always had a thing for Edgar Allan Poe. What's more Edgar Allan Poe than the Murder of Crows tarot? And this is Murder of Crows is by, who's this by? Lo Scarabeo, Corrado Roy. And I just got the regular edition and put my own red in there where I thought it would be cool. And it is cool. I like it. Yeah, Murder of Crows tarot. There's my I was gonna pull out the Edgar Allan Poe book, but there's no pictures. I've always loved horror movies and the spooky and the scary. And this is Madame Lydia Wilhelmina's Monsters of the Macabre and Autumn Scenes. I believe I've got a video up that has some better pictures of this. This deck makes me laugh. And it's also very artsy, right? Spooky and artsy. Should do that with the religious stuff. Here is some of the, because I was always looking at books about flowers and books about anatomy. This is a gotta have, right? The what is this called? Anatomy. Oh God, I'll have it down below. It's Mass Market. Yeah. Okay, and let's see. Should we do a little more? Let's do a little more Baba. Just gorgeousness, right? You can see here in a few of these, I was talking about just the really beautiful airbrushed of Antoine, the Varga girls, right? Kind of a similar vibe. And This is a lot of storybook artwork too. Reminds me of romantic tales and myths. Save me. Okay. And then here, okay, I pulled these out. These collage decks really do remind me of that time in my life with my best friend, sitting around looking at catalogs and pattern books and piecing together the lives that we'd hoped we'd have. Not that. But I mean, we actually get together and take magazines and tear the pictures out of magazines. And make up stories about how our life was going to be, right? That's the Rosebud Tarot. Harper and Stilwell. It doesn't have the author's name on it. That's rude. Here's the Tiny Sparrow Tarot. Again, this to me reeks of finding patterns and dresses and magazine pictures, not that, of how we wanted our world to look when we got big, when we had control, finally. Boy, that was not a real thing, was it? I can't wait I'm going to take this deck with me again, because this is this Tiny Sparrow Tarot, great reader. It is really fun to do at fairs. A lot of people enjoy readings with that. Okay. And let's see. What do we have here? Okay, let's talk about... Okay. This one is still kind of medieval artwork, storybook, whatnot. This is the Infernal Tarot. And these are all images that were taken from a book, right? This could almost be just RWS, but it's a little different. Okay, Infernal Tarot. But then let's look at the Touchstone Tarot. Always had a thing for the kind of Henry VIII period. But the paintings, the gorgeous high drama and ritual of Catholicism that is in tarot, whether we like to admit it or not. There are angels and It's the Touchstone Tarot by Cat Black. And sticking with the theme of me being obsessed with all the other kids being Catholic. I just thought it was very mysterious and cool because my parents were not. This is the Angel Tarot. And it's very pippy, so. This is an old Robert M. Place. So it really shows how his artwork has grown over the years. That's the Angel's Tarot by Robert M. Place. And here is this is my favorite work of this artist. This is, oh my God, what is his name? I'll have it in the down bar. But this is the Angels and Demons Oracle. And we've got an angel on one side and a demon on the other. Demon, angel. And they kind of relate to each other. They each have their seal. Yeah. The Angels and Demons Oracle. Okay. I also, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Growing up with musicians, my stepdad was also a martial artist. And, you know, my people were very much revolutionaries. And I think this was a deck that was done before its time. This is the Next World Tarot by Christy C. Rode. And this is the original printing of it. This is a great big one. And this is not only from when I was a kid. This is when she produced it. And this is now. And this is in the future. This deck is astonishingly timeless. You wouldn't think it would be because it feels like it's right now all the time. But really it is incredibly timeless. Yeah. Next World Tarot. Woo! Heavy stuff. And of course, because my stepdad was a martial artist, and we would have workouts in the morning. His work was, his art was from China, actually. But I spent a lot of time from when I was a teenager on in Hawaii. And there is a huge Japanese population in Hawaii. In fact, they're kind of the upper echelon. And I just really fell in love with Japanese culture. Anytime I go to a museum, if they have an Asian garden or an Asian hall, I'm there. This is the An Ukie Lenormand by R.M. Place. And then this wonderful Giordano Berti, which is the Oriental Tarot. It's a pip deck, which actually in its real state is black and white, and this was rendered fabulously because it looks like this is how you would have found it, in these beautiful light watercolored, even the pips. Oh, I just love them. So good. Yeah. So that is the Giordano Berti Oriental Tarot. Here is some more. Okay, we're getting down to the end, people. I showed this recently, but not very well. Ciro Marchetti's Encore Tarot. And I mean, talk about fabulously beautiful art book artwork. Yeah, okay. The Encore Tarot. Here's one. This just sensuous art photography. I feel like all these photographs are just gorgeous pictures from which you can get all kinds of feels. Yeah. And this is the Abyssal Tarot by Shelley Corbett. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare to put the titles at the bottom. Okay. This is True Black. This is our original True Black Tarot by Arthur Wang. And talk about just the most beautiful. This is actually what I thought of first when I was pulling out the Varga book. I feel like these images are the Varga girls of tarot. Can you handle it, camera? A little bit longer. We can do it. There we go. Oh. Just really, really beautiful stuff. Okay. What else do we have? What have I not shown you? Okay, here's Keymaster. This just reminds me of artwork in books. I mean, children's books used to be so much more things that you kept, things that you gave as gifts. And so they were really, I had some really beautiful books. And it just makes your imagination go wild. And then because we discussed Monet and the Impressionists, we can't skip James Eads. This is his Cosmovisions, Tarot, Oracle, Past Lives, Dearly Bob. To me, this just, it's kind of inside out tarot. But that even looks like a Monet, right? Okay, I think that's it. That's enough. Less than an hour. I feel so successful. And thank you for coming.